Hi folks, the Filipino P here, and today I'm going to talk about something I rarely discuss. We Filipinos are pretty tolerant, but that doesn't mean we like all you foreigners. And if you're one of the guys I'm about to describe, please do not come to the Philippines. So in case you're wondering why I'm at the beach today, it's because it's almost October. And the sun is starting to get a little weak, so I want to soak up as much sun as possible before I get really pale for the next 6 months. And believe me guys, I get pale. And before we get started, I wanted to give you an update about what's going on with my YouTube and the way they're hiding my videos. If you haven't heard already, thousands of channels are talking about how their new videos aren't even showing up on their YouTube channels, and that's exactly what happened to my channel. And a lot of my videos aren't even searchable, and people are emailing me about why I quit making new stuff. Guys, I'm still here. I'm still making videos every week. They can see all my shorts, but my long videos like this one that I post every Friday, you know, the ones that actually make a paycheck, well, a lot of them are just gone. As a content creator, that's about the last thing you want to hear. Basically, that's poison to any channel. And since only about half of you folks watching this video are subscribed, I need to ask you or even beg you to please hit that subscribe button, which you can always find on my homepage, and also hit that notification bell and activate all. If you're one of the people my videos are being hidden from, that's about the only way you're gonna be able to find me every week. And I really don't want to lose you folks because the party's just getting started. As for why YouTube is doing that, well, I've heard a whole bunch of theories, but they're just that, theories. I still don't know what's going on, and I probably never will, but one thing's for sure, you guys have the power to save my channel, so please, I'm asking you for help. So back to today's topic, the ugly foreigner. Now obviously I'm not talking about the way you look, that's a personal preference kind of thing. And no matter what you look like, I guarantee there's a Filipina that'll think you're Tom Cruise. Oh, but here's the funny thing. When you see a mixed couple walking around Dumaguete, you almost always think that the Filipina's gorgeous, and you wonder how a guy who looks like him got a woman like her. But when we see the exact same couple, we wonder why a hot guy like him chose a plain-looking woman like her. It's really weird, but it happens all the time. It's like we're both looking at the same thing, but what we see is the exact opposite. It just goes to show you that even if you look in the mirror and you're positive there's no way a Filipino is gonna want you, you're only seeing things from your own side. And trust me, we use a totally different standard for looks. And no, I'm not just saying what you want to hear. There are thousands of couples that can tell you the exact same thing. Now, over the past, what's it been, like 6 years, I've been accused of all kind of stupid stuff, like I'm trying to paint the Philippines in a rosy light or downplaying the bad behavior of some of the men that come here. But most of the dumb butts who say that don't even watch my content, because anyone who follows my channel knows I've made just as many videos about the dark side as I have the good side. And today, I'm gonna be talking about foreigners behaving badly. Now, Filipinos are usually pretty gullible, and when you say something, we usually believe it, so we end up getting tricked a lot. Yeah, like a lot. But there's 10 kinds of foreign men that we can smell a mile away. And if you want to succeed in the Philippines, don't be one of them. Now, the following types of guys are the minority here, the vast minority. But like any other country, we get our share of visitors who aren't here for the right reasons. And these are the guys I'm gonna be talking about. Some of these categories overlap, and you'll find a lot of guys who fit multiple descriptions. But just who are these clowns? Well, let's dive right in. The body snatchers. So one day I was sitting at a coffee place in Cebu, and as I was waiting for the guy I was gonna interview, I overheard a group of foreigners at a table behind me, and they were easy to hear because they were being way too loud. Maybe they thought just because my back was turned, somehow it impaired my hearing, but I think they probably just didn't care. But all they talked about was how many Filipinas they were pulling, which I later found out meant banging. They were using very graphic terms and telling each other how often they were getting certain parts of their anatomy sucked, and all the crazy positions they were able to try, some of which I think are physically impossible, but I'll tell you after I do a little more investigation. But they seemed completely obsessed by their number of conquests. One guy said, "I got 2 sisters at the same time." And another guy said, "Oh yeah? Well, I got 4 Filipinas since last Tuesday." And I could feel my ears turning really red, so with my big old Dumbo elephant flaps, I probably looked like a human stop sign. But they just kept right on going. And the only thing that seemed to matter was the number of women they could bag. Now look, I'm no prude, and whatever 2 consenting adults want to do is their business. But it just rubs me the wrong way when guys only come here for a sexathon. Now, I'm not just blaming the guys because it takes 2 to horizontal tango. And I admit that Filipinos are often 100% complicit in the debauchery. A lot of times we'll go to bed with you on the first date. And when we do it, it usually means we're interested in having a relationship with you. It's our way of showing you what we have to offer. And I know that's a pretty stupid way of doing it, but it actually works a lot of time. And that's all fine as long as you didn't misrepresent yourself as someone looking for a girlfriend when you're actually just putting notches on a bedpost. If a Filipina knows in advance that you're just a sex tourist, it's a lot less likely that she's gonna give you a tour inside her panties, for those of us that wear panties. But see, that's the issue, being honest about why you're here. Which brings us to the next foreigner we really need to avoid. The seed sowers. Some guys just feel this burning need to impregnate as many Filipinas as they can and leave behind as many babies as possible. Kind of like planting their flag in the gene pool without any consequences. Now everyone knows that Filipinos are baby obsessed too, and a lot of us refuse to use birth control. So we end up having 5 or 6 kids, but the guys I'm talking about are in a whole different class. I heard about this one guy who started using a false name as soon as he got here, and he introduced himself with a different name to everyone he met. So this guy just went around plowing as many women as he could. And if a Filipina demanded birth control, he purposely removed it or just let it slip off during the festivities. And then he just sow his oats and run away without a trace. It's pretty easy to hide in plain sight here, so he just kept moving around. And who knows how many fatherless kids he made. Sick, right? And there's really not much a Filipina can do about guys like that, except to keep our legs closed completely, which can also be pretty good advice. The next guy, though, is someone we can spot a mile away. But the question is, can we resist? The carrot dangler. No, not that kind of dangling carrot. Although many of us can't resist that one either. I meant when a man keeps talking about how rich he is. So it's like he's dangling the carrot of wealth in front of every Filipina he wants to be intimate with. He'll lie about owning 3 houses and a bunch of cars and boats and how happy he'd be if only he had someone to share him with. Now you might be thinking that if a woman's only attracted to a guy's wealth, then she gets what she deserves. But look at it like this. What if you talk to a woman online and based on her looks, at least partly on her looks, you planned a whole trip to the Philippines. And when you got there, you found out she didn't look anything like what you saw on the screen, because she was using filters and AI. You might feel a little cheated, and rightfully so. And if the goal is honesty, the next guy fails miserably. The secret agent CEO. Once they break free of their old lives in the West, many guys become fiction writers once they get to the Philippines. And they create some pretty imaginative alternate histories for themselves. Just drop by any pub where foreigners like to go, and you'll bump into an amazing number of guys in the special forces and former CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. If I had a peso for every secret agent I've met, I'd have a lot of pesos. Filipinos are pretty gullible anyway, and it's not like we're gonna check your ID and run your name through a database. So you can pretty much reinvent yourselves without any guardrails. But some guys take it just a little too far. And if a Filipina has a single functioning brain cell, she'll catch the lies. And there's another kind of foreigner who hangs out at the pub, and almost every Filipina will eventually meet him. The Barfly. Now, in case you didn't already know, alcohol is super cheap in the Philippines. You can drink yourself stupid for just a fraction of the cost you're used to. And when you combine cheap booze with a culture of heavy drinking and no enforcement of DUI laws, that's a perfect storm for guys who have a problem with knowing their limit. When there's nothing you have to do every day and no place you have to be, you can really get in trouble around here. And until you get your act together, it's probably not a good idea to involve a Filipina, especially if she can outdrink you. Mr. Pics. Sometimes a young Filipina, usually a college girl, sees a truck pull up beside her and she gets approached by a foreigner with a simple business proposition. He'll give her 20 bucks if she'll go back to his hotel room and let him take some pics. Sometimes there's a little more involved, if you know what I mean. But it's mostly a straightforward deal. Now, if it was me, I'd obviously say, no way. I'd want a lot more than 20 bucks. But I'm not gonna pass judgment on what two consenting adults agree to, remember? But what I do have a problem with is when a guy meets a woman for a regular date and then he films his carnal encounters without the knowledge of his co-star using a hidden camera, and then posts it on an adult website after he gets back to the West. Now that kind of thing can get you into serious trouble where you come from. But a lot of guys figure they can get away with it when it's some nobody from a third world country. But guess what? That kind of entertainment is watched by more Filipinos than anyone else. So there's a decent chance that Uncle Juan might click into a video of his niece doing the nasty on screen. If that happens, her life might take a serious turn for the worse. And the guy who filmed it better pray he's back home. Now, most Filipinos aren't worried about being filmed like that, and most of us aren't being. But there's plenty of other low-grade types to watch out for, like the escapee. Maybe he's running from the law, or maybe he just wants to start over. But for whatever reason, sometimes foreigners come here to escape the ghosts of their past and to make a second chance for themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when they come here to escape justice, then Houston, we have a problem. And there's really no way a Filipina can tell what's going on until she finds out she's a Bonnie to his Clyde. And here's one of the worst ones of all. The cradle robber. Now, there's nothing wrong with admiring youth and beauty. If given the choice, most men would choose a younger woman who's as easy on the eyes as possible. And why not? It's one of the things that society admires, and it's one of the things that most men value. Unfortunately, some guys take it to the extreme, and their only concern is to find the youngest woman in sight, with no regard for any legal boundaries. Filipinos already look about a decade younger than we really are. So when a man is obsessed with the appearance of youth, the Philippines is a tempting destination, and we get more than our share of this kind of predator. Now, you all know what I'm talking about, and I don't need to give you my opinion on the matter. Suffice it to say that if I ever catch one of these guys behaving badly, I'll be the first one to report it. But there's not much we can do to spot the next kind of guy. He seems totally normal at first, but once you get to know him, you see him for who he really is. The hater. He smiles at women when it benefits him, but in private with his buddies, he has nothing good to say about women. Any women. If a woman doesn't have a job, but she's looking for a husband, then she's a gold digger. If she does have a job, or if she's educated, then she's a feminist boss babe. If she says she's a virgin, she's obviously lying. But if she admits to having a previous partner, then she's morally bankrupt. You know the kind of guy I'm talking about, and you'll see plenty of examples right here in the comment section. Maybe it's all just talk and they don't really feel that way, but I certainly wouldn't want to take the risk of getting involved with one of them. Maybe they were burned by a Western woman in the past, and while a certain amount of skepticism is healthy, seeing evil intentions in every female you come across isn't exactly a formula for a happy relationship. I agree it's smart to keep your guard up, especially at first, but please do everyone a favor, including yourself, by leaving the negative vibes at home. There really are some good women here if you just take your time to look. And that brings me to the last category of foreigners you don't want to run into. He might not be the most dangerous, but he sure can cause the most pain. The giver of false hope. This is the guy who reels you in, little by little, until the mere thought of him consumes you. He's the guy you fell in love with, the guy you can't live without, and the guy who just disappeared. Maybe he was married all along, or maybe he just changed his mind. Maybe all his promises and dreams of a white picket fence were just that, only dreams. But why did he have to be so cruel about it? And why did he just cast me aside? And that's what a lot of heartbroken people sound like, both men and women, after they've met a giver of false hope. So the moral of that story is not to be one. Well, it's hard to say which one of these 10 guys would win the Nobel Prick Prize. But at least none of you folks watching this video would pull anything like that, right? Good. I didn't think so. Well, that's all for my day here at the beach. It's time to pack up and head home. But I'll be back next Friday with something totally new. And hopefully it'll show up in your feed. But if not, please come looking for me, okay? Till next time, folks. If you think about it, I'm kind of like your nurse, attending to your needs and making sure you get a healthy dose of what's good for you in the form of informational and funny videos. After all, laughter is the best medicine. The only thing I ask for my service is that you hit the thumbs up on this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so I'll know when you need assistance. Please also check out my Patreon page for extra content and exclusive features. And while you're recuperating, why not enjoy some of my other videos too? So, are you ready?